Hi, I'm Caroline. Welcome back to my channel, a place where obviously I'm biased, but I like to think I have pretty good taste in, well, fashion stuff, which is what I'm going to be talking about in this video, and some beauty. Because you asked me about my taste in like movies, for example, and I'm sitting here in front of you as a 27-year-old woman who's saying unironically, I think Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging is like a cinematic masterpiece. This is not going to be a video where I reveal my top 4 on Letterboxd to you, but instead I really wanted to sit down and just kind of talk about some of the stuff I've been into for this summer in the fashion and a little bit of the beauty department. Some of this stuff is trending, but most of it's not, and most of the stuff I haven't talked about, so I'm really excited to get into it. Of course, I would love to know what any of your favorites for this summer have been, and if they align with mine, or maybe you can give me some new stuff to be inspired by, as I'm hoping to maybe do for you right now as we get into this. Juliet caps or skull caps, I'm seeing some people refer to them as really any sort of mesh or crochet adjacent hat. Not only have I previously mentioned these a couple of times on this channel, but they are something that I'm seeing trend for the summer. At least it appears on my social media, and when I was looking up photos to insert into this video, I saw that they were selling these on ASOS. So when something reaches the fast fashion sites, that's how you know it's trending. Because I have gone on about these before, I want to keep this short, but it is not surprising to me that at least I've been noticing a resurgence of medieval Renaissance-esque fashion, that it was only a matter of time before Juliet caps came back into style. And I will say that since last, I believe it was September, was the first time I brought them up on my channel. I didn't have my own at that time, but now, sitting in front of you, I can say I am the proud owner of not one, but 2 Juliet caps. A cream and a green, because you know I had to have the neutral and then a fun little pop of color. At first I was a little bit weary about how much realistically I would wear these caps and well they would integrate into my everyday style, but I found once I started playing around with different outfits, and whether it was throwing them on with just like a fun little vintage graphic baby tee, jeans, a little flat, and adding the hat as kind of like a fun contrast to a more casual outfit, it's this really cool element. Or of course I can lean into the kind of Renaissance vibe of them and pair them with like one of my antique Edwardian dresses. Like there are a lot of avenues you can go down with these caps, and I think a lot of different ways that they can mesh with a variety of styles. So many different variations of these caps as well, whether you're wanting something like my preference, which is just a simple kind of all over knit cap, versus they have some really cool like embellishments or sequins, or I've seen like pearls dangling all around the bottom of the cap. If you are interested in maybe joining the Juliet cap agenda, I managed to find both of mine on Depop from 2 different accounts. I'll link them down below if you want to check them out, because obviously I'm gonna always encourage you to shop small if you can, and both of these were also handmade, which is really cool versus fast fashion. The things that an itsy bitsy teeny tiny cotton mini dress have been doing for my spirit, this is a bit of an unexpected obsession of mine that has really taken over a lot of my outfits for this summer. Just an easy item to throw on, and I mean it's literally only one item that I'm wearing, and I can pair with my ballet flats or cowgirl boots, got my headscarf on or bandana, jewelry, sunglasses, put on my crossbody bag, I'm out the door, and I still feel cute but also very comfortable and okay in 95-degree weather. LA Apparel is one of the brands I got a mini dress from and would totally recommend. Their color options are incredible. They also have a couple different styles of mini dresses, and not only do they have the neutral colors covered, but these specific shades of the more kind of statement colors that they chose are so pleasing to me. Like whoever was in charge of that, they need all of their flowers. I'm giving them applause. And then another brand that I got one of my dresses from is cocoatemyshoes. Bit more expensive with this price point, but oh my god, I mean I love my dress from them as well as everything on their website. I only own 2 things for them because, you know, it is pricier, but I do think the quality is amazing. So comfortable, obviously so cute. Pretties is another brand similar aesthetically to cocoatemyshoes and also price point wise. I don't own anything from them, but I really like their stuff as well. Some of my friends have pieces from them that are really cute, and so, you know, once I'm moving soon, I have other priorities with saving my money, and also like we're in a recession. I don't need to have any more mini dresses at the moment, but like end goal, a lot more colors. Please just pretend to be shocked when I speak about my affinity for pairing primary colors together in an outfit next, as I am quite literally doing right now. in front of you. Now, I will say all year round, I'm big into color, and just generally throughout my life, I have always leaned towards more color in my outfits, but as of late, this mix of the yellow, red, and blue, and big emphasis on the red and blue pairing. It's great for the summer as well, and to me, really an essential styling tool because my outfits are usually made up of more minimal elements, and so playing around with color is a way that I'm able to make my outfits still feel fun and interesting, but with only a few components, and it's pretty easy to do, and I feel like accessible for a lot of different styles and wardrobes. Oh my god, I love shell jewelry in the summertime. How fucking groundbreaking. I know. Listen, there is something so special about watching the movie Aquamarine as a child and seeing that scene of the starfish earrings that are whispering compliments into her ear. You know if you've seen it because it is imprinted in your brain as it is mine, and trying to replicate what I felt when I experienced watching that movie, like in real life with my own shell jewelry ever since. It looks cool, it looks fun, it looks whimsical as hell, and if you wanted to, it can even look like you're a mermaid that just washed up onto the shore and you are just dripping in all of these decadent shells. Speaking of decadence, I have these earrings. Actually, I mean, look at these babies. Talk about almost like the grown-up version of the starfish earrings from Aquamarine. These are from the brand cocoatemyshoes. She is based in LA. She hand makes all her jewelry. She was kind enough to send me these, but I don't have to talk about them if I'm not obsessed with them. However, they are everything I could ever want for an outfit in the summertime and more. There's so many amazing small businesses like cocoatemyshoes creating the most beautiful shell jewelry. If you're interested and able to support her, I'm gonna have her shop and her Instagram linked down below. Of course, there is a factor to this jewelry that I also really like, which is the fact that it looks quite DIY-able. And so if you are in a bit more of a budget, I do think it's something, if you have the patience to learn the skill required for this, that is also an option. I just love this idea in the summertime, and I want everybody who also loves this idea to be able to have access to it, which is I look like I'm a mermaid cosplaying as a human. And I do that by wearing incredible earrings like this. Petal pushers, or I guess what some people would refer to as capris, which are technically trending this summer. So this is another trending item that I have been really into. Wait, actually, let me look up if there is any like definitive difference between petal pushers versus capris minus AI. Google, you're not gonna get me. Petal pushers are calf-length trousers that end a few inches below the knee. They are shorter than capri pants and longer than shorts. Okay, pause, because one report says that actually petal pushers are what is technically trending right now, but the name is just morphed into capris, which can I throw out there that we start calling them petal pushers again, because I just love an alliteration. It's so much more fun, kind of flowing off the tongue. Petal pusher. Say it. Join me in my cause. I mentioned in my last video about summer outfit ideas. If you haven't checked it out, you should go watch that. But I have been most intrigued by 1930s and 1940s fashion recently, and petal pushers definitely fall into that category. Think of the movie The Notebook as a reference, and all of the outfits worn in that, especially by Rachel McAdams' character Allie, or Kate Beckinsale's character, and all of the women in the movie Pearl Harbor. Just everything that was happening, well, not everything in in the war propaganda movie, but like everything fashion-wise happening in both those movies, which actually both involved subtle or not so subtle war propaganda. I like the looks though. Capris are also another great example of what I like to talk about often on this channel, which is the kind of what goes around comes around nature of the trend cycle, and how you can kind of look to any decade and see different iterations of capris. And so maybe if you're wanting to get your hands on some, or you like them but you're not quite sure how you'd style them, I would say to look towards the decade of fashion that you are the most drawn to and see how they were wearing capris then. And also if you want to get your hands on some, you can then go and look up like vintage 70s capris or vintage 80s capris and hopefully find yourself a pair that you feel like integrates well with your style, and also through that maybe get some really cool styling inspiration. Ooh, okay, next up is my first official beauty obsession, which falls under the hairstyle umbrella of beauty, and this is not going to be surprising to some of you, and that is wearing my hair into messy, low, I guess space buns would be technically what they're called. I've been doing this in a lot of my recent videos, and majority of my recent posts on Instagram. Transparently, I have been wearing my hair like this, what, 7 days out of the week? Probably 4. of those 7. Far too many people underutilize their hair and hair accessories in an outfit. I have fallen victim to this in the past, and so letting myself kind of experiment and come up with hairstyles like this that are both really great for the summer because it's keeping my bangs back, which is just a lot of the times cooler, especially when I'm sweating a lot and my bangs are misbehaving like they often do, but no, I will not grow them out. I actually tried recently and I ended up cutting them literally 2 days ago. It also adds like volume to my hair while still like keeping the bangs back and kind of keeping everything in place, but there is this kind of like messy, effortless element to it. All of this, it really is my version of a slick back bun, and it can be heatless like a slick back bun, and it can work for a variety of different hair textures. And I've done this where my bangs are down and face framing layers, and it's very cute, but having a bandana, it's a good opportunity to add a fun pop of color or a pattern or both. Truly could not tell you where I got this from or even pinpoint what it was that made me decide to just try this out and experiment with this hairstyle one day, but oh my god, I am so happy that I did. Dare I call this next obsession of mine, which is bikini shorts, but it's more so like swimsuit micro shorts. I feel as though I have to explain myself. I mean, not that much here because I've talked about previously how I'm not really into micro shorts trending as far as like my day-to-day style. I just don't like my butt being out like that. Totally, all the more power to anybody who wants to wear them, and I do think they're cute on other people, but for me, not so much. However, in swimsuit form, I'm at the beach, I have no problem with my ass being out, and so having these little cute shorts, they very much give me a kind of retro and honestly that like 1940s swimsuit playsuit vibe, but in a way that's a little more current and also often more size inclusive than trying to find a bikini from the 1940s that fits somebody who has like above a 22-inch waist. Aesthetically, I really like swim shorts, but then there is also the functional factor of them that I'm speaking up about this because I know I'm not alone in my struggle, which is, I mean, just overall, like swimsuit shopping is for a lot of us kind of akin to a form of torture. However, it seems like, especially with bikini bottoms nowadays, I don't know what the fuck is the problem with a lot of these companies where it's not even the coverage on the back, because I don't care about that, it's the coverage on the front. It's like one wrong move and hello, like everything is revealed. I'm giving everybody at this beach a free show. We might as well just be at a nude beach because what is the point? With the way that some of these, like, who is this supposed to fit, an American Girl doll? What is this covering? Anyways, all that to say, I'm a big fan of the swim shorts, and I'm a really big fan of the recent swim short bikini I picked up from the brand Oddly, who is a small, sustainable, LA-owned and based brand that creates both clothing and bathing suits that are so cute, and I will say a bit on the pricier side just because of the nature of how they're produced. If it means anything, I am very impressed by the quality of my bathing suit as well as just how adorable it is and how comfortable as well as confident I feel wearing this bathing suit, which a couple of years ago I could not even fathom those words coming out of my mouth in relation to me wearing a bathing suit, but here we are. And you know, I, like so many things, would, because I'm able to, rather save my money and invest in just one really good item that I feel good in. And with bathing suits, that is something that can be feel almost impossible at times, that because I can, I will. And then I'll just rewear that bathing suit all summer, you know? Rewear my bathing suits, rewear my outfits. Isn't that kind of the entire point? Alright, now taking a quick break to thank the sponsor of this video, who does happen to be one of the things I'm loving this summer, and that is Squarespace. My go-to all-in-one platform for creating a website or domain. You can do anything on there, from maybe wanting to spruce up your resume, to starting an e-commerce site, or creating your portfolio. My favorite part about Squarespace, hands down, is just how accessible and easy it is to navigate. They offer tons of pre-made templates that you can choose from to meet a variety of aesthetic needs. However, if you're wanting something a little bit more customizable, Squarespace also have tons of tools that you can use to customize whatever you're looking to create on there, and you can change anything from the layout to the font to all of the colors and background. I know how particular I can get about how things look aesthetically, and so it is really nice to have a platform where I am able to use a bunch of these tools to create the vision in my head and bring it to life. Beyond all of their amazing design tools though, Squarespace also offers really great analytics, so if you are wanting to create something like a blog or a website, you can get an insight into the traffic that is happening happening on your website, the demographic, the ages, the location of the people who are checking out your site, and even see what times of the day, what are the things that they're clicking on the most. So if any of this sounds like exactly the thing that you've been looking for, you can scan the QR code up on the screen or head to squarespace.com/Caroline Tucker for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. And thank you so much to a favorite and frequent sponsor on this channel, Squarespace. I have gone down a very deep and windy rabbit hole looking for vintage Ray-Bans over the past couple of months that was ignited by an obsession with Julia Roberts. Well, just overall, her hair, my number one, but my number two is the sunglasses that she was seen wearing both in person as well as in movies throughout the 90s and early 2000s. Are you familiar with Julia Roberts' sunglasses game? Because it is fucking crazy and it has been taking over my Pinterest board. Through all of my very serious research on this topic, I did find that all of her sunglasses are vintage, some unidentifiable, and others are designers that are no longer made, or if they are, they're just really expensive, therefore pretty inaccessible. However, with some Google reverse image searching of the specific pairs that she had that I wanted, I was given suggestions for vintage Ray-Bans, mainly Ray-Bans from the 90s. Admittedly, a lot of the sunglasses I was looking at were still not the most affordable per se. You know, it was like $100 versus like a $20 pair of sunglasses you could pick up at Urban Outfitters. I will say though, getting my hands on one pair of vintage Ray-Bans that the quality is thankfully much better than Urban Outfitters, and I am so completely in love with them. And I'm also kind of the person who, well, one, I'm definitely into vintage 90s sunglasses like the most out of every decade, and also I am the type of person where I like to have just one pair of sunglasses that I wear with everything, honestly, until I either sit on them and they break or I lose them. So fingers crossed that I'm able to have these for a couple of years until that happens, or it won't happen at all. Maybe I should have wishful thinking with that. You know, I'm naive, but I'm hopeful. Something about a tighter form-fitting, low-waisted kind of knit maxi skirt has been doing things for me that never before, like a month ago, have they done. I guess if we look at this through the lens of how much I love myself a good maxi skirt, this isn't all that shocking, but it more so is the simple and neutral factor of this that has surprised me a bit, at least with the skirt I ended up finding at the thrift store about a month ago for a whopping $5. It is a very like neutral light brown shade, and I am surprised but happy at how much I've been wearing it. Styling it with just like a little t-shirt, some ballet flats, out the door, more casual, or I actually wore it out. I think last month in June, I dressed it up with a knee-high boot and an almost identical brown knit top and kind of had it as a set. My hair was big and curly, all my jewelry. I felt so hot. I loved it. And I'm like, damn, this is so versatile. Some of the best $5 I ever spent. Calf hair vintage, important to note, calf hair animal print, like furry flats. I feel like I can show you better than I am attempting to tell you right now. I love these. You can maybe go out on a limb and guess what my animal print bias is. Technically, these are actually two different animal prints. I have the zebra and then I have the tiger. I love these so much though, and really throwing them on with kind of a maxi silky slip dress and then just my little sunglasses and my jewelry and my straw bag. I can't stop. This, can you hear that? It's what I meant ASMR by the furry. Like it's literally like there's hair on these. All right, and now I have an Instagram account actually that I want to share because I have been getting so much style inspiration from @MelsVisionaryVintage. Like the name suggests, she is actually a vintage seller based out of the UK and has, along with the most like beautiful, truly insane curation of vintage pieces that I have not purchased anything from her because it is on the pricier side. However, following her just for the sheer amount of outfits that these are god tier levels of fits that this woman is like conjuring up every single day. She's got the whole 70s Stevie Nicks free-spirited meets like rock and roll Florence Welch, but there's a hint of Edwardian and prairie, but also like funky. I don't know, it's just perfection and 10 out of 10. And there is really a mix of, not only does she post outfits comprised of like pieces that she styled to try to sell, but she does also post just outfits of her wearing stuff from her personal wardrobe all of the time. Since I brought her up, I now am just needing to go to her Instagram and like feast my eyes upon her feed of outfits and lush vintage, which by the way, if you've yet to tap into following vintage and antique sellers on Instagram for style inspo specifically, highly recommend. That's where I get most of my style inspiration from at this moment, and I'm, like I said, rarely able to even buy stuff from these accounts because it is usually pricier, but there are other ways to support them by giving them a follow, engaging with their content, and if you're needing some really good accounts, you should go to who I follow. Just give it a scroll, go to town. It's a wide range and variety of people that I think you'd be into. Got another beauty obsession next in the form of a fragrance, actually, that I feel as though I absolutely have to tell you all about, and that is the brand Thin Wild Mercury. Now, I know that some of you are well aware of this brand because I am actually only aware of it because after the past, I'd say 8 months of very sporadically posting on my Instagram story about my kind of journey of wanting to branch out with fragrances and find my signature scent or multiple scents, I got a lot of messages to check out this brand, and if there's anybody I trust for recommendations, it is you, because you're all very cool and very smart and have amazing taste. I know this because I stalk some of your accounts, and so like we get it. We see each other. We're on the same wavelength. This is a fine fragrance brand, so keep that in mind with the price point. I mean, look, if there's any real takeaway from this video, it's the fact that I don't necessarily have the cheapest taste in stuff. All right, I've known this since I was a child. I'm a Capricorn Moon, Capricorn Venus, Capricorn Mercury. I never had a shot. I have my first, but I'm sure not last scent from them that has been one of my go-tos throughout the summer, and it is Laurel Canyon from their LA collection of scents. And what I found really intriguing about this brand once I looked into them because of some of your recs was the fact that they base their fragrances around the cultural experiences of 2 cities, and that's LA and then New York. They have 2 different sample sets you can buy, one which is 4 fragrances from their LA line, and then the other one has 4 fragrances from their New York line. And from their New York line, maybe this company is ringing a bell to you if you are a fan of Chappell Rowan, and she recently mentioned how one of her scents that she wears and gets a lot of compliments on is from the New York Thin Wild Mercury line, and it has a base note of lipstick. So they're one of those perfumeries where like things can get a little out there and niche, but I like that and it's fun. I pulled up their website with the notes in an attempt to be a little more helpful right now, as well as potentially an instigator to some of you. Their top notes are sweet orange, herbal, grapefruit. Middle are Italian cannabis, clove, jasmine, and base of ambergris, birch tar, and patchouli. Something to know about me is I like scents that are very earthy and have a lot of musk. There's a sort of like grit and tree quality as well as a kind of dry and bitterness, but in a way that's formulated to just be so pleasing to my nose. It really cannot get enough of. One here, one here. Let it dry. Oh my god. Yeah. Worth every cent. Prize ribbons this, prize ribbons that, prize ribbons are trending. I've been going on about prize ribbons for about a year now, and I'm going on about them again in this video because finally, after a year, I have gotten my hands on my very own prize ribbons, and the obsession has just now fully escalated since I am now able to participate in this trend. While these are, and I definitely would consider prize ribbons to be a trend and been introduced to the more mainstream through designers like Sandy Liang and seen on people like Claro, for the most part, when it comes to at least who I follow on Instagram, the only people I'm really seeing wear these are the more kind of niche, really maximalist, like fashion, off-the-cuff, experimental people, which makes sense because I do think that prize ribbons are a bit off the cuff. They're very fun, funky, and deeply unserious, which makes sense as to why I love them. The reason that I was able to finally get some of my own to have fun styling is actually because of one of you, Hannah, who I talk about this and style my prize ribbons in my previous video. I'm telling you, if you haven't seen it, covered a lot of important stuff in that. Shout out to Hannah, aka Hannah Collections is her Instagram as well as her Depop. I'm gonna have them up on the screen as well as linked down below if you want to check them out. She hand makes these, dyes them herself. They are real silk and they are so beautiful. I love the vintage look of these prize ribbons specifically. I've been having a lot of fun experimenting with how I'm styling these, whether it's usually pinning it to the top of my blouse, but I also think at the top of a skirt. I can wear all of them. I can wear one. I can put one around my bag or in my hair. Something that I want to try soon, so stay tuned for that. But overall, it's again just another example of how to utilize a fun accessory to really elevate an outfit in the summertime. But I am also really excited to style these for fall and winter. And wearing a collared shirt with a blazer and like mini skirt tight boots and have the prize ribbon around like the collar in the center of the shirt. I think I'm working with something with that. A vintage t-shirt that has a snarky little saying or phrase on it is not a new obsession of mine, but it's definitely intensified recently, and I do have to stress the importance on emphasizing the vintage of it all, because this isn't me being a vintage snob, well, okay, maybe slightly, but it's more so the fact that when I see shirts made now that attempt to do this, it always comes off as cringe in the worst ways. There's a level of cringe that I think we should all embrace, and I definitely advocate for. However, shirts with stuff like, I'm just a girl on it, like, no. I'm not doing that bullshit. Also, I'm not just a girl. I'm a grown 27-year-old woman who has to like pay taxes and for my health insurance. While I will not allow myself to walk around in a shirt that infantilizes me, I will walk around in a shirt that says something like dirty old man on it, or not only am I perfect, I'm a redhead, and in the summer I like to style those usually with like just some little denim shorts and cowboy boots, or I love also like that contrast of the casual t-shirt with like one of my Edwardian petty skirts and a little ballet flat, or of course just like throwing them on with some oversized baggy jeans. Most of mine I've come across on Depop or at flea markets. There are some Instagram accounts I follow that are entirely dedicated to posting just really cool and funny vintage t-shirts. They are usually pretty expensive though. They're selling them for like $200, $300, $400, sometimes $500, which, look me in my eyes and be so serious right now. But with a bit of hunting, I found some really cool stuff that I love, and my collection is just getting started. Continuing on with what is apparently a very persistent and deep love for a good hair accessory, I want to talk about braid bands. So I only learned about braid bands a couple of months ago, which was both very upsetting as well as slightly embarrassing, because not only are they the perfect solution to if you, like me, love to braid your hair but hate the look of elastic, oh my god, the way that a braid band is just exactly what I had been looking for, and maybe you are, as well as being very prominent in a bunch of different cultures throughout history. The braid bands that I ended up finding, and of course I bought them because I had to get myself just one set. They are from the small female-run business Silver to Strands. I love that I'm just shouting out all of like the coolest small female-owned businesses in this video. Come on. Using my platform to do the important stuff. Number one requirement I had for my bands was I needed them to be in gold, because that is my metal preference and what pretty much all the jewelry I wear is. And so Silver to Strands, she does offer silver options, but she has some gold, which was harder to come across and made my options more narrow. And I loved the like hammered effect of the gold on these bands. They have little dangly pearls and crystals. She also does bands where she has like gems, like hammered into the band. They're so beautiful. Obviously, I recommend checking her out. If by now I have not at least managed to successfully convince one of you who was not previously into hair accessories to get into it, I'm not doing my job right. Like, why are any of us even here? Intensely beaded clothing that is not only a delicious feast for my eyes to gaze upon, but is also in a way like you are getting a workout in, because you are basically wearing a weighted vest throughout the day. But it just looks like a really pretty vintage entirely beaded shirt. We got the fun again, we got the statement again, we got the whimsical element once again, and dare I say, depending on the kind of beading and the colors of the beads being used, could also be kind of like shell adjacent mermaid cosplaying human. Tons of options available for you to tap into if you are wanting to have your own entirely beaded moment, and whether it is through something like a purse, which feels a lot more wearable and can be dressed up or made more casual and everyday, versus something like a beaded top or skirt, which does, to me at least, feel more like going out in the summertime. But I love that, and I love having options like set in my mind for what to wear when I am going out, because that is an area where I really struggle to come up with outfits. And so being like, okay, beaded top, low-waisted tight maxi skirt, little boot, all the jewelry, there we go. Made it to the last summer obsession of mine that I'm gonna be talking about in this video, and I probably can say the most absurd, which is a chattelane, aka a decorative and functional belt hook with chains that hold various small items like keys, scissors, and sewing tools. These originated from the French word which means mistress of a castle, and became popular from the 16th to early 20th century. The more you know. And I love any excuse to give a little history lesson. Most of you, I am sure, are not doubting my abilities to integrate a chatelaine into my kind of everyday style and outfits. I know some of you are probably like, what is she going on about now? How could she possibly think about styling one of these? I actually am not planning when I eventually get a chatelaine, because I have to admit I do not yet have one because they are very, very old, which means they are rare and very expensive. I want to actually wear it, not like how it's intended, which is around your belt, and instead as almost a bag charm. I saw an entire reel about this, and so I can't take credit for having this idea. However, I have gone on about bag charms so much on this channel and that I do really like them, but I've never found one that feels representative of my spirit and authentic, and it wasn't until I saw the chatelaines styled like a bag charm that I was like, oh my god, I have it. And now I am so hyper fixated on trying to find one that isn't literally $500, it's almost consuming me entirely. There is a part of me that's debating trying to make my own chatelaine inspired bag charm by going and collecting and just curating the right antique trinkets as well as the right chain for my own bag, and it would probably be a lot more affordable to do that, but also take a lot more time because I have to find all the pieces. But it could be fun because it's like completely customizable, and I do like doing the DIY of it all. So if you've done that, let me know and give me any tips. But until then, and I'm sorry if you weren't aware of chatelaines before, now you are, and we are sharing in this sick obsession together now. At least we're not alone. And on that note, it's gonna be it for this video. Like always, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to just sit down and vibe with me. I hope that you are feeling more inspired by the end of this than you did at the start. And of course, again, let me know any of your current summer obsessions in those comments, and if they are similar to mine or we're on completely different vibes, that's cool too. I'd love to know. I'd also love to know if you agree with my stance on Angus thongs of perfect snogging being a cinematic like feat and real lesson in what film can do for the culture. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.